Americans abroad, right? We have to talk about a few players that had just incredible weekends and just essentially the last 10 days. Antonee Robinson is he got 2 assists for Fulham in a loss. I forget Crystal Palace. I forget who they played. Anyway, but the conversations around Antonee Robinson, he just won U.S. Male Soccer Player of the Year. I think the first time in like 15 years or something like that a defender has won it. And the conversations around him are really being like, this is the best left back in the Premier League. And, he is not long for Fulham. And he's going to...
It's deserved. It's nice to see him get his flowers. I feel like there has been a slight shift in conversation around some of these players, but it's due. And in a lot of ways overdue. I think that there is, of course, the American bias depending upon where players are playing.
Sure.
There's that big American discount, but they're standouts, period.
Yeah. Did you see Luis Garcia? I think it was on ESPN FC. He was interviewing the players in American Barcelona players that play in like the academy. And let's see if I can find the clip real quick. But they were pretty honest about like how they're treated, and he says like they're respected for their game, but they are called out for being American like all the time.
Yeah,
and that's just a factor. So when you talk about the European bias, and I think Pulisic talked about it recently.
He did, yeah. In the Pulisic doc, he talks about it.
Right.
Weston McKennie also talks about it a little bit, which he, of all people, is probably emblematic of that problem.
Okay, yeah. And but it doesn't make any sense. I've been seeing memes now, Weston McKennie memes, the ones that are like, it's like a Juve defender saying like, can
I got
you defend?
This sent to me yesterday.
Yeah, it was like, hey, can you defend? He's like, yes. And then it's like a midfielder. Can you play in the midfield? He's like, yes. And then an attacker is like, can you play in the attack? And yes. And then it's the goalkeeper that says just, can you? And he's like, yes. Right. Oh yeah, you look at the same thing. So this is. He had another great week. He had 1 assist. I believe in the game, I forget who they played. They drew. They ended up.
When are they not? They've had 13 of them. When would no? But
are they gonna go invincible and be like not in Champions League? Right. That's what it feels like. Juve.
That's far more likely at this juncture. I mean, being completely serious, they have 7 wins. They've drawn 13 of their first 20 Serie A games.
It's so
you can't continue to drop points like that because that's what it is at this point. When you talk about it differently and you say like, oh, we've won all of our games and we have a draw here and there, it doesn't feel like you're losing points. But in this respect, you might as well have lost a few games at this point.
It's really disappointing because also with AC Milan, there's especially they have all these American players, so I'm watching them a lot more and I want them to succeed. And I'm like, Milan. They'll win against Liverpool in Champions League and Real Madrid or whatever, and then they're playing Bologna or Cagliari or something, and they can't. Yeah, they look lost.
I mean, part of the problem there is we've only just started the Sergio Conceição era for Milan, and Fonseca was not working out whatsoever, and they're adjusting in a lot of ways. They've only played now they've won their first Serie A game.
Yeah.
The others were Super Coppa Italiana. And so 2 different games of play, but 4 matches in. I am a lot more optimistic. They do need key personnel to be plugged and played. But like Pulisic's wonderful there. He's a standout.
Yeah.
Same thing, Weston McKennie. And I have been beating this drum since he was at like Schalke, defending him because he's always been asked to do above and beyond what his peers have been, and he's always risen to the occasion. So I feel like he's kind of fallen victim to where, like I always said, everyone else has a bachelor's degree and he never got a chance to do that PhD specialization. So he's good at everything.
Right. Yeah.
And when you're good at everything, you're asked to do everything. So he's been carrying water for teams season over season. He's played under multiple different managers at Juve. Every season, bang on, he constantly gets criticized and saying he might not be part of the project. He could not be part of the project. In every single season, he exceeds all the expectations and everybody's head turn. For me, as somebody that's always defended him, and I think rightfully so, I wasn't biased, I am so happy to be goddamn right. Okay? I'm so happy that everybody comes around and is like, damn, yo, McKennie's quality. No.
Yeah. I will say this. I hate seeing him as a left back. I mean, I like that he can do it, but I just seeing him there feels like disrespect. It feels a little bit like, to me, he's just such a box-to-box 8, and should be.
But
his
he's
role.
not. He's a lot of things.
He is a lot of things. But to me,
to say that he can play left back quite well. Maybe I'd prefer to see him used more as like an inverted winger if you're going to start him back in that position. But the reality is he's a workhorse. He doesn't give up. He runs tirelessly. He's always full intensity. His crosses are beautiful. He can always find his teammates and set them up for success. So, like, enough with the McKennie slander.
I mean, I wouldn't call that slander, but I just...
for seasons listening to the Juve fans? Yeah, there was.
Okay. So, and then the last player, I just want to give a shout out to Gio Reyna. Gio Reyna scores against Holstein Kiel.
Holstein Kiel
scores a great goal it's getting to the point where last season it was like, oh, Gio can't fit in with this great team, and they went to the Champions League final and blah blah blah. And now this season it feels like, is Gio Reyna on a good enough team? Like he's clearly able to contribute, and I'm not necessarily saying like he's a Weston McKennie and he can do it all and that he should be starting or whatever. But Dortmund have been so disappointing. And in Bundesliga, in Champions League, it's just been so underwhelming. And now I'm starting to wonder, should Gio Reyna leave, not because he can't get minutes, but because he should be on a team that has like a better idea and better project?
I would say no.
I would say
no. I think that he's finally starting to play and remain healthy to actually gain a starting role. Only because previously he wasn't good enough to start. Sure. He wasn't. But with minutes, that'll all improve. I think that this goal is a good example and data point to be like, hey, get Gio in here more. I think that he can fit a little bit better and can impact in the attack. Like, let's let him run. But previously, I think it's a personally reasonable expectation that, he stayed Dortmund for now.
All right. I don't necessarily hate it, but it's just like I'm watching the first goal.
If he goes to a better team, he's sitting on the bench.
Right.
That's the reality right now, period. So work your way back up, and I think I respect him for doing that.
I saw the first goal that they gave up, Julian Brandt, who's basically in his position.
Right, which is why Brandt has not been his best. Now's the time to step up and prove that you can be better than him.
He gave up the ball and didn't even track back to try to recover.
Yeah, so like right now, the way I'm looking at it, Gio is in a good position. It's his to lose. Step up now, kid.